Alright Liam, when you're ready.
Yeah, my name is Liam Hendley. This is my introduction to coaching presentation. The learning outcomes we're going to focus on is learning outcome 1, which is demonstrate knowledge of the determinants of an effective coach. Learning outcome 2, present, evaluate and interpret the principles of behaviour in current coaching practices. And number 3, evaluate the needs of young people as they participate in sport. Now firstly, what is a coach? Just got a brief definition down of what a coach is. Now, the coach is the organised provision of assistance to an individual athlete or group of athletes to help them develop and improve the performance of their chosen sport. Now, there's 2 different types of coaches. There's participation, which is for basically people who are looking to get into sport early on. So things like after-school classes, holiday club, people that are looking to just to get the enjoyment out of sport. They're the coaches that supervise them. And there's also performance coaches, which are the people that are looking at higher athletes, looking at actual competition and improving the skills that they have at the moment. Coaching philosophies, another brief definition, it's a coach's belief and guide to becoming the best coach possible. And it's the basic beliefs that guideline everyday behaviour. Now, how does that impact coaching? It shows in the long term, so you're not going to see a coaching philosophy early on. It's not something that you develop overnight. It is something that you're going to see in years to come. It provides a clear outlook, structure to sessions, so you can plan your content over a season and being able to plan that content in advance so you know what you're doing. Obviously the players and the staff know as well. And how does that impact performance? It indicates direction, like I said. It gives you clear ideas. Another bad thing of not having a coaching philosophy is failure to have one will indicate lack of ideas. And the players may not know where you're looking to take them in the long run and may not believe obviously the direction that you have. 2 philosophy examples that I do have. Roy Hodgson's 4-4-2 formation. Basically in 1976 he took over a Swedish team called Halmstad. Back then a lot of teams were playing either 3 or 5 at the back. He went with the 4-4-2 formation, got slated for it. They told him that he wasn't worth the money that they were paying him, he shouldn't have his job. He stuck to his 4-4-2 philosophy, and they won the league in his first season. Everyone basically told him he was Jesus. And obviously Sir Alex Ferguson and his hairdryer. Basically, he looks at balling players out of the dressing room, but he's also been known to say that the 2 main words that he does use towards people are sensitivity is well done. My philosophy. Now, because I've not been coaching obviously that long, I haven't really got a philosophy myself. It is something that I'm looking to develop in the next coming years, and obviously it'll come within practice and experience. Now to look at the coaching determinants. The first one is leadership, which is the action of leading a group of people or an organisation, or the ability to do so. And there's 2 types of leadership, which is autocratic and democratic. I'm just going to look at those briefly. The autocratic leadership style is where the coaches make all the decisions. So there's no input from obviously players or other staff. They're completely in control and they enforce everything that happens. It's a direct and dominating approach. So obviously everything's direct, they make the choices, nobody else has a say. The exchange of knowledge assumes to be one way, so they don't never get any brief input from any other players, any other ideas. It's basically what they know and what they say goes. Determine the rules, regulations and standards. So anything that does or is done well, they decide how people are rewarded and if it's good enough. The advantages and disadvantages. Advantages is a clear practice and direction, so you're always knowing what the coach wants and obviously know their directions. They work hard themselves, so obviously the coach does everything backstage. Obviously they're the one that's doing all the research to look at different practices and prepare for any type of competition. With the coach focusing on obviously different methods, you're not getting confused with obviously what you think and what they think. It's basically what they say goes. Disadvantages, the athletes may resent demands, so that some athletes might have obviously bigger egos and they might not be being told what to do. The negative outbursts from coaches, obviously because they're the ones giving all the direction. If something does go wrong, then they might obviously take it out on themselves or take it out on the players. And less motivated players are overlooked as the coaching is generalised. Basically that's people that aren't getting the right amount of coaching and the coach is focusing on the group as a whole. And the impact on performance. You're going to get clear and quick instruction. Obviously you get a direct message, it's only going from one person. You're not getting different directions from other people. It's a clear plan and strategies. So obviously they're the one enforcing the rules, enforcing the practice and strategies that you're going to look at doing obviously in a game and in practices. And outside decision making and performance monitoring. Basically with them being the only one that is enforcing the rules, they're able to see what's happening, what's going right, what's going wrong, and obviously able to monitor that for everybody. Then democratic leadership. This is where the coaching behaviour allows participation, so they're allowed input from other people, and they're looking at getting ideas from other staff or other players. They're allowed the athletes to make their own goals, so obviously they're allowed to do their own goal setting, so it's something that they can work out in their own time or in practice with the coaches. They're able to suggest game tactics and strategies, so the athletes are allowed to put their ideas forward and the coaches obviously are willing to listen to them. It's mainly used with high-level performers, people that already know what they're doing and have got experience and maybe looking to try something new. The advantages are the performers are highly engaged, so you've obviously got people that are wanting to try new things, and then you get more team cohesion. Obviously the team are happy, obviously they're not being told what to do 24/7, and it encourages creativity, so the team are always wanting to try new things. Performers may lack motivation. They may leave the basic training behind and think, oh well, I can try something new today and forget about everything that I should be doing. And they may think the coach is weak. So obviously then they've got no backbone, they're basically overriding the coach. Impact on performance. On the pitch, communication may slow down. Obviously you don't know who's really in charge of the decisions. You could be asking someone else, they'll tell you one thing and someone else will tell you another. Feel free to try new things, so like I said, within a game situation, they might try things obviously that might come off, but they also might try things that might not work and also result negatively. And performers may try and outperform one another. So they might see someone doing something and they think, oh, I might have a go at that. The coach is not going to tell me that I can't do that, so I'm going to try it as well. Now, my leadership, it's mainly autocratic due to experience, obviously only working with young children in football camps. I've not really had the experience of obviously letting people do what they want as they please. Obviously with them being younger, obviously you need to tell them obviously what they can and can't do. Now, the good leadership, obviously with kids, due to experience, obviously adapting the skills through practice, obviously using the autocratic between the kids, obviously letting them know that this is what you need to do, obviously that's what you need to do, obviously giving them discipline. The bad leadership is probably with older age groups, obviously because I've not really had much experience of coaching the older age group. It's probably something that I need to adapt towards, and obviously that'll come with experience and obviously develop that. The way to develop it is obviously gaining experience, trying different styles with different groups, obviously maybe try with the older ones being autocratic and then later on trying the democratic side. And the impact it will have on the development, from the development, is being able to lead any group of any age, of any level. Obviously you'll be able to apply different ranges between different levels. Impact on performance. Obviously good communication. The next one we'll look at is communication. Is the act of expressing ideas, thoughts, information and feeling towards others, as well as being able to understand what others express. Now, most people assume that communication is literally just word of mouth and it's talking, and it's actually reading, writing, listening, gesturing, consoling, motivating and encouraging as well. It's not just obviously the communication side of it. And with communication it is 70% communication, which is coaching. Now, what is the impact on performance? Now, the impact with good communication is looking at using the right tools in the right way. So obviously, you're gesturing over distance, sometimes when people can't hear you. You're getting the best through different ways and have a variation of communication, like demonstrations, different things like that. Bad communication is maybe sticking to one form of communication, the one that you're comfortable with, and maybe continuing to use one incorrectly. For example, having your hands in your pockets, slouching, it gives obviously a negative vibe towards obviously the people that you're coaching. How does it affect performance? It's direct, so obviously with communication it's there directly and it has an impact straight away. It can affect performance immediately in a positive or a negative way. My communication. Now, I'd say that I'm a good communicator. I'm loud and confident. I use the correct use of language, obviously, when available. It's something also that I have developed whilst working with younger kids. Bad features, sometimes maybe body language, maybe like I said, slouching, using equipment obviously whilst I'm talking, people obviously taking the eye off of what I'm saying and focusing on the equipment that I'm using, and not always paying attention, obviously whilst I'm coaching as well. Now motivation. Motivation is the direction and intensity of one's effort towards a goal. Good motivation is obviously something that there's two different types of motivation. We've got intrinsic and extrinsic. So we're just going to look at those separately. We've got extrinsic motivation, where athletes are forced to participate due to peers, family, or people that have played the sport separately. And it's also athletes who are motivated by rewards or prizes. So they're taking, obviously, the motivation side seriously because it's something they want to do within competition. Intrinsic motivation is the opposite, where athletes participate for their own sake, and it's something that they look at doing for the enjoyment and satisfaction that it brings them overall. Just a couple of motivation theories that we have put down. There's a competency motivation theory, the need achievement theory, the attribution theory, the achievement goal theory, the self-determination theory, and the self-efficiency theory. Just to briefly touch on a couple of those that I think are the most important. We've got the competency theory, where people are motivated to feel worthy or competent, and the feelings of competence, of worth, as well as perceptions of control. They determine their actions and motives, and there's no realistic goals. The self-determination theory is where they determine their own course, they determine their competence, and they also have social interactions. There's also one that's not on there. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I'm just going to touch on. And there's 4 steps towards that. Step 1 is the coach has expectations of how they want the team or the athlete to behave. So it's something that they expect from the athlete. Number 2 is the coach then motivates them in a way that they think is going to get those results of how they should be reacting. And number 3, the athlete behaves in that expected manner and confirms what the coach has expected. And then number 4, the coach then sees the perceived behaviour and continues to work with them that way. How does it impact performance? As you can see with Hull's drive theory, it's pretty simple. As you can see, the arousal and motivation levels, as they get higher, the performance levels also are linear to that and also get higher as well. Now, the opposite way around, if a performer is not motivated, then obviously as this shows, obviously going to be less likely to give a better performance. My motivation. Now, the good features of my motivation is that I'm good, I'm confident, I'm an extrovert coach, so I'm not one that obviously is quiet and obviously likes to keep within themselves. I'd say I'm a loud motivational speaker. I like to give encouragement and obviously help people that way. Bad features, maybe not good enough variation with motivation, maybe sticking to one motivational speaking, obviously giving encouragement and not mixing it up. Maybe to develop that is learning different styles, theories to develop, so obviously looking at the theories in detail and obviously developing it through that. And the impact from the development it would have is being able to motivate in different ways, so obviously using different theories to adapt into practice and using different styles and skills. As well as being loud, I'll be able to be quiet and impactful as much as the same. Young people in sport. Now, what they need. Young people in sport, they need clear instructions, obviously to participate, so they know what to do, what to expect. They ensure tasks are provided with the correct amount of difficulty, so nothing's too hard with them being so young. And it's not too hard, but then again, it's not lacking challenge, so they're not finding it simple, obviously, so they get boring. Keep activities moving forward, so obviously it's nothing that they're going to keep doing for, obviously, say a couple of weeks, they're actually going to progress it. Also add variety, so obviously they're not doing the same thing over and over again, so obviously, again, it doesn't become timid and obviously they enjoy it. Ensure participants are aware of what's expected of them also. So instead of obviously just saying, oh, you're going to be doing this today, you're going to be doing that today, say, this is what you're going to be doing, this is why, and obviously this is why you're going to need it. And pay particular attention to things at certain times. Obviously, so towards the end of the week, work on something that's obviously going to progress out, or when it gets towards the end of the day, obviously they become stressful times for kids, obviously try and calm it down a bit and obviously work towards that. Now, what mainly engages them? Obviously with young kids it's always going to be fun, Fun is always going to engage, obviously, young children. Making the participants enjoy the early stages before moving on to specific skills and methods. So making sure that they get the enjoyment out of the sport, so it's something that they want to do, instead of bombarding them with different skills and different methods before they even know, obviously, whether they like the sport. Different ages learning different skills. So obviously, because they are so young, don't teach them different methods or skills that's going to be too complicated. The best practice, obviously, moving on to the best practice, is obviously with, again, the early ages, getting the simple training first. So obviously, instead of moving on to progressing to the higher level performance, obviously, methods, best practice, get the basics in early, obviously get the best practice in. Obviously, then moving on to adolescence, adolescent ages where it gets more complex, and they can try different skills and methods, and obviously then they can see obviously whether it's something that they want to look at doing, and not to use specialisation too early. So obviously with that, you're going to be using special, obviously, skills that they're not going to be used to. It's something that they might not want to develop, they might want to stick at it, obviously, as a fun, satisfactory sport, and obviously being able to adapt to the right age. So something, obviously, that needs to be looked at. Adapting different skills to different ages. Obviously, towards the adolescent ages, obviously, you'll be able to progress it, and different methods will be used from there. It's just a couple of references.
Excellent. Very well done. May I just ask you a few more questions? Learning outcome 3, evaluate the needs of young people. What kind of social aspect do you think children get from being involved with sport?
Well, being involved at a young age, obviously, you can meet new friends, and obviously with socialising, as a young kid, it's one of the main things. Obviously, as a young child, being able to socialise with friends, obviously different family members. Obviously, it gives them a basis that if they make friends whilst playing sport, then obviously they might enjoy the sport a little bit more.
Do they learn anything else by participating in sport?
I think they learn the basics of life, obviously how to act around others, obviously how to take discipline well, how to follow rules, and obviously how to use different things like manners, communication, all different aspects.
Excellent. Thank you very much. How do you think you did?